this is Tony Orlando with my good friend, Jimmy Deal.
Hi, Bob. Welcome to Celebrity Spotlight. How are you?
Fine. Is Tony Orlando here?
Yeah, I wish he was, actually.
I heard Tony Orlando's voice. Is Dawn coming?
They may be on the way. Well, you're an actor, comedian, impressionist. You do it all, Bob, man. And you do just about everything.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are looking at me and they're thinking, what is Chris Christie doing here? And I do admit I share the avoir du pois, that's French for fat, with Mr. Former Governor Christie. But they're the similarities end because I'm Jewish. I don't think Chris Christie's Jewish.
Italian.
not with a name like Chris Christie. If you call yourself Chris Christie, you might as well call yourself Christ, or not Jew, not Jew. But you're right. He's half Italian and half Irish. I know I look Irish, but I'm not. It's rosacea. He's been to Israel. I have not. He was at the Wailing Wall, and the New York Post, which is a very kind, benevolent paper, the New York Post, had a picture of then Governor Chris Christie at the Wailing Wall, and the headline read, "The Whale at the Wailing Wall." Kind paper, very kind. But no, I am not Chris Christie, I'm afraid to say. I'm not, period.
You're amazing. Bob, tell us how you first started in comedy.
That's interesting. I was a film major. I have a BFA in film, which means I can put my hands in the magazine and feel the emotion. All stuff you don't use today at all. I can work the Nagra. I can punch holes in. No, I don't punch holes in the film. There's no film today. I don't know. There's no emulsion you have to lick to realize which side is the right side to cut and splice. So, but anyway, I have a BFA in film, and I drifted into being a master tape librarian, videotape. That's also something defunct, right? So I was a master tape librarian. And I was always very funny, I would crack them up at shipping and receiving and whatnot. And in college, I wound up acting in a lot of films. I have a BFA in film. I did a film called The Fool of the House of Usher, and I starred in that film. And so I was sort of like acting, directing, whatnot. And then a friend of mine was taking improv classes at a place called First Amendment. They were down on Bond Street. And I started taking classes. And I had a knack for improv, and I wound up performing on Sunday nights at Folk City. And eventually the improv kind of led to me doing stand-up, and then the stand-up led to sketch, and then the sketch landed to doing theater and film, and here I am.
Now, you grew up pretty much in Brooklyn, right? East New York, and then later Canarsie?
Yes. We were on Herzl Street, and then we were on Strauss Street. This is the Brownsville section of Brooklyn.
Right.
And then we moved to Kings Highway and 54th Street between D and Foster. You told me that...
I live not too far from there.
Yeah. We used to smell Canarsie from where I was. Yeah. I remember Canarsie. And then I wound up going into the city because I was into old movies and things. And before TCM and video, you'd have to... It was a two-fare zone. You had to schlep into the city to see the Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy and all the kind of films that I love, And besides staying up till 5 a.m. to watch something on CBS, because like I said, there was no VCRs, there was no DVRs, there was the alarm clock waking you up. One time my sister, I don't know if my sister is listening, one time I told her I wanted to get up at 1:15 to watch Hold That Ghost on NBC, right? It's the Abbott and Costello movie. This is before Channel 11 was showing them every Sunday. But so I told her, I wanted to get up. And all I remember is water hitting me. And she put me, I was in my pajamas. She put me in the shower because she couldn't wake me up. So she put me in the shower and I woke up in the shower getting wet. And but I'm glad she did because there's a whole scene in the beginning. Do you guys know the movie Hold That Ghost?
Sure.
Yes.
Whole scene in a nightclub. There's a nightclub scene in the film in the beginning with Ted Lewis and the Andrews sisters and whatnot. And Channel 11 never show that scene. You would always start off at the gas station, because they lose their jobs as waiters and they wind up at the gas station. So I was so happy she did that for so many years because I was the only one who knew about this lost scene. But it was completely extraneous. Channel 11 showed 80, 90-minute films in 90-minute slots, so a lot got cut.
Exactly.
Although, when they showed the Abbott and Costello film, sometimes they'd cut one scene one time, and then they'd restore that scene and cut something else. So basically, if you had a good memory, you could put the whole film back together in your head if you watched it multiple times on the rotation of 36 movies,
Right. Speaking of Abbott and Costello, who were some of your influences? I'm sure they were, as well as many other people.
Well, Abbott and Costello, of course. Oh, and the Three Stooges. I loved Curly. As a matter of fact, my first acting job was doing Curly of the Three Stooges for this commercial for the Three Stooges VCR game. And I remember the audition vividly. I had to stand on this mark, and I had to look into the camera, and there was a cue card with 3 lines. They were, and it was real easy. But I felt bad for the actor who I followed, because I don't think he ever saw a Three Stooges movie, because he read those lines like this. Naya, Naya, Naya. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah. So I booked this commercial. And, I'll do a quick Curly for you if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
There's Curly as the captain on the SS Titanic. Out of the way, out of the way, out of the way. Oh, look, an icicle. Hey, icicle, where's your popsicle? The moon. There's the stars. There's an iceberg. An iceberg. So they were a very big influence.
I know Jackie Gleason was too, right? Tell us about Jackie Gleason.
Jackie Gleason was very important. I used to watch him 11 o'clock at night. It was either him or Alfred Hitchcock. So you want to see a little Jackie Gleason? Is that
sure,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
You're pimping me here? Okay, a little Jackie. Now, Jackie Gleason, I mean, he was an amazing man, because he did The Honeymooners, but that was just like a little part of him. He was a great actor. See him in The Hustler with Paul Newman.
Yeah.
He was on Broadway in Take Me Along with Walter Pidgeon. Of course, he did those Smokey and the Bandit movies later on as well. Right. But he played all these different characters. He also used to do records, romantic records. He composed music,
Yes, he did, yes.
A ballet. He even composed a ballet. But the one thing Jackie Gleason never did was Shakespeare. So here's Jackie Gleason doing Shakespeare. No, to be or not to be? Oh, that is the question. Because that I know, that that I'm the Prince of Denmark. Oh, I'm the prince. I am the prince. And Ophelia's a mental case. No. Now is the winter of our discontent, made glorious summer by the son of York. A horse, no, my kingdom for a horse, or a string of Peloponnese, polo ponies. If you tickle us, do we not laugh? Ha, ha, honey, ha, ha. If you prick us, do we not bleed? Norton, will you prick me? Will you prick me, Norton? Ah! Et tu, Norton? Et tu? Iago, you are a blabbermouth. A blabbermouth. Desdemona, bang! Zoom to the moon, Desdemona to the moon. Juliet, what can I say? But baby, thou art the greatest. Elizabethan audiences are the greatest audiences in the world. Good night, everybody. Anyway,
that was amazing.
Oh, that is unbelievable.
Amazing.
Great. Just great. Doc, go ahead, Doc.
These are activity points on Weight Watchers. There you go.
my buddy.
Of course, I'm doing this all sitting down. Normally I'm facing the stage, but could Could you see me all right? I don't know if I went.
Yeah, no,
You were great. You're fantastic.
My friend Bradley Server, I don't know if you know who Bradley is. Bradley is the grandson, of course, of Curly. Jerome.
Yeah.
And he's always hard to get a hold of, but
He's very ticklish.
he's very no digitally, you know. But growing up with your influences, was there one specific sketch that got you, like the Who's On First with the Marx Brothers, or the Abbott and Costello, you know, the number thing, and they did so many different things. Who's On First?
Yeah.
As well. Marx Brothers. I'm sorry, Wyatt Duck.
Right. Well, they did Wyatt Duck, and Abbott and Costello did
Who's On First?
Yeah.
I reversed it. But anyway, was there that one specific sketch that really got you say, "This is what I want to do. This is where I want to be," or you just wanted to do everything?
Well, we mentioned Abbott and Costello before, right? And Who's On First, and there was a bit that Costello does. I'll do it for you that made me want to get into comedy. I'll do a variation of it, but here is a Lou Costello at the John Gotti trial.
Oh, geez.
Mr. DA, are you asking me if I think John Gotti's a member of organized crime? I'll tell you, confidentially. Oh, there's John Gotti. There's John Gotti. There's John Gotti. Something like that.
Oh my God!
I loved Abbott and Costello. I loved Laurel and Hardy too. I'll do a little Laurel and Hardy for you.
I seen you were doing like something with Saturday Night Live. What was that like to do?
Oh, Saturday Night Live? Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I did a lot of sketches. Mostly digital shorts that they would do if they needed a character like me sitting around or whatnot. But the best thing I did was they had me as a plant for Jim Carrey. And it wound up being a very big thing because I had one line. Well, what it was, it's available. You could see it on NBC's website or whatever. But he's talking about it. We shot this January 8th, 2011, excuse me. And they're talking about Carrey was talking about the Mayan calendar, that it's going to be the end of the world come 2012. So it was just the beginning of 2011.
Right.
So now, this year, 2011, he was going to do anything he wanted to do. He was going to just, forget about it. It didn't really matter what he said, what he did. He was going to say what he wanted, what he thought. So, like, for instance, he says, I'm looking at a beautiful pair of breasts right now. And then it cuts to me and I go, thank you, Jim. So that was the main thing. And, thank you, sir, back and forth. Now, at the end of the bit, he's supposed to go into the audience and propose to an audience member, and we did they do a dress rehearsal. Saturday Night Live has 2 shows on Saturday night. One's at 8:00. It's a 2-hour show in front of a live audience, but it's not broadcast. After the 2-hour show at 10:00, between 10 and 11, they decide what they're going to cut so that they put it back into the 11:30 time slot. Also, what order are the sketches? So we do an 8:00 dress rehearsal, it's called. It's a full show, but dress rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And he finds this girl in the audience. He says, will you marry me? He asks her name. And she says yes. And she's the perfect, she's laughing. He picks her up. He carries her off stage. Mm-hmm. So we do the live show. He goes into the audience. We do our exchange, beautiful pair of breasts. Thank you, Jim. They get the close-up of me, going like this, everything. And then he goes into the audience. He asks this girl, what's her name? Her name is Mindy. And he's talking to her. Says, Mindy, will you marry me? And she shows her wedding ring to him. And, so he says, so you're married? He says, yeah. He says, well, don't worry about that. He tries to, and so she's saying, no, she's not going to go with him. She's not going to do anything. And he says, well, we could just take that wedding ring off. And that was really, you never take a woman's wedding ring off. I was like, oh my God, this is all happening live. And so he knows she's not getting up out off her chair. And I don't know. And so I waved to him. The audience, you don't see this at home, but I waved to him. I have no idea, what I can do for him, but I'm there. I'm an actor. I'm being paid. So I just waved to him. He looks at me. He says, oh, okay, wait, forget it. He says, come on up, dude. He grabs my hand. What's your name? Bob. And he brings me up on stage. Meet Bob, my new life partner. Bob, will you marry me? I go, yes. And we hug. And then I whispered to him, you want me to pick you up? I figured he couldn't pick me up. He says, no, let's just wait. We're like talking as it's going on. And he was so sweet because he says to me, oh, man, he says, you saved my ass. Thank you so much. And he's patting me on the back or whatever. And what's so funny is at that point, they yank him away from me because he's got to change for the next sketch. And they're literally pulling off everything was breakaway. They're tearing his pants off. They're tearing his jacket as he's going off the stage. And the stage manager, everyone in the crew knew what happened, that this was not planned. And so he gives me a big introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Greenberg. It's Bob. And they all clap, and I took a bow on the stage, and they're all clap, and the crew guys are giving me, they're all, and all that. So it was really nice. So that was my Jim Carrey becoming his life partner. And I never hear from him. He never calls. Maybe I should, is that a breach of promise? Is there a lawyer out there? Maybe I should go him for breach of promise. So anyway, that was exciting. That was really to do improv on live TV. And what's his name? Bobby on that show. What's Bobby's last name? Just escapes me. I ran into him sometime later. I was doing another sketch or something. He says, we talk about that. It's one of the few times that there was really improv on Saturday Night Live was that episode between me and Jim Carrey. So it's kind of cool.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
What about some of your memories of doing the Joe Franklin show? I know you had a close relationship with Joe.
Joe was great. The funniest thing about Joe is you're sitting there, right? And you could be sitting with Rudy Valley or something. And then you'd be sitting with some guy who collects spit, and then Hitler's grandson. And so I would do something like the Lou Costello, John Gotti bit or something, and he would turn to Hitler's grandson and say, "So Hitler's grandson, what do you think of Bob Greenberg and his Costello?" And the guy go, "Oh, I like it, yeah." And then he would turn to me, Bob, what do you think of Hitler having a grandson? I said, well, things happen, It was the most surreal show. And the thing is, that show was on 1:00 at night, had no competition. There was a show called Real Camp on Channel 5. Joe was on Channel 9. I'm talking New York,
Right.
And I think Tom Snyder was on it.
Yes, he was.
Eventually, is that right?
Yeah.
So eventually, Joe did have a little Tom Snyder competition, but before that, it was only Joe and Real Camp, and that was about it. And his show was so loose and wonky. What I got into watching his TV show because he was showing old movies.
Right.
He'd have old time movie time, and he'd show these movies. And I'm sure a lot of them had copyrights. He was probably not supposed, but nobody who was watching me, 1:00 in the morning. And I would stay up to watch these shows and go to school really tired. But I
used to too.
Right? I was so tired. And I can remember when I was maybe in 3rd grade or 4th grade, they had a Marx Brother Festival on Channel 5. Rex.
Yeah, I remember that.
Fields movies, and I would stay up, and I slept maybe 4 hours before I went to school. So I had to stay up,
Jerry Lewis too. They did Jerry Lewis Film Festival too with it was boys and all those
11:30 at night, So 1:00 and you're up till 1, 2 in the morning. But Joe, I guess I was doing a show called Cabaret Lulu. I was doing stand-up in it, and she brought me on to Joe's show, and I did Joe's show twice. But then later on, he had a couple of comedy clubs,
right?
And I hosted one of his clubs for a long time. The last one, it was the TC. What is it? I want to say Thank God It's Friday, but it's not Thank God It's Friday, is it? It's, Fridays, I'll say. Well, it was Fridays on 7th Avenue.
Right. He had the restaurant too. Do you remember the restaurant on 8th
Yeah,
Avenue?
the Joe Franklin restaurant, which I performed at too, which was Beefsteak Charlie's.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And I think, did they go back to a different name? I'm not sure. Then it became the Joe Franklin Comedy Club in the back.
In the back, yes, I remember that.
Right. Yeah. And then he had this other room on 7th Avenue. And I did that one, the other room. It was a basement, basically a basement. And Jackie Mason came a couple of times. I like you, Jackie Gleason. It's very good, very colorful. It's a good impression. I enjoy my Jackie Gleason impression. I remember that.
Wow. And you got to go up to his office there on 43rd Street too, as I did as well. Yeah, I knew Joe pretty well too. Tell us about that memorabilia. I mean, you used to walk up there. He was sitting in the front with a desk and all this memorabilia behind him.
Yeah, he was the original hoarder, I guess you would say. Yeah. Stuff piled up and the thing was, there's a W.C. Fields film called The Man on the Flying Trapeze, where he's a memory expert, and they has one of those desks, where you have to go like, it's covered like this, those kind of desks. So you pull it up, and all his W.C. Fields' papers are everywhere. It's just like papers on papers on papers. But someone asks him for a particular paper, the Johnson file. He has like ice tongs or something, and he can flip through, and he just knows by the corner which it is, and he knows where everything is. And Joe Franklin was the same way. Stuff was piled up, lobby cards, records, and you'd say to him, "Oh, could I have a Bowery Boys lobby card, Joe?" And he'd go, "Yeah, sure." He'd reach over, and like it would be like maybe the 12th one in a stack, and he'd pull it out. There was a lobby of the Bowery Boys Meet the Monsters. You know what I mean? I mean, it was hilarious. He knew where everything was, and he had a lot of stuff. He claimed he had Charlie Chaplin's derby. Not sure about that. He claimed to have Marilyn Monroe's underwear. Not sure about that.
Yeah. He said he had a cinescope with Elvis Presley. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. So he had this very big office. That's the one you're talking about at Times Square.
Yes, that's the one I've been up to that office.
He got downsized in his later years, and that's where I saw him mostly. He was at 300 West 43rd or 311? I'm going to say 300 West 43rd Street on the 3rd or 5th floor, something like that. And same situation, smaller space. But when you walked into the office, you hit a wall and you go past like a hallway, and there was all records, 78s, whatever, get all like, all the stuff, beta tapes, 2-inch tape, everything piled on top of each other. And you'd see an aisle of this, an aisle of that. And then you'd come into a room proper, more crap piled up, and there was a couch. And facing the couch was a little stage. On the stage had more stuff piled up, but there was one area where Joe sat behind a desk, and he had two phones, like a red phone and a black phone. And he would sit there, and people would sit on the couch, and you'd walk in there, and it was like you were on his TV show. I mean, this was his office.
His office, yeah.
Cameras. Yeah. There was no videotape. It wasn't radio. It was just really being in his TV show, but it was his regular day. And you go on and you look at the couch, and there'd be a guy who looked like a pimp. There was definitely some sort of I don't know what, some guy with a pyramid scheme or something sitting there. Maybe a drug addict. I don't know, strange characters. And then he'd go, "Oh, it's Bob. Bob, do a little Jackie Gleason for, over here." And then he'd ask you to answer the phone. You'd say, "Hello, Joe Franklin's office." Who's this? Okay, it's Johnny. Can you speak to Johnny? And Joe would say, No, tell Johnny I'll call him back next Wednesday.
Yeah.
With some good news. So tell Johnny with some good news. It's like, "Oh, Johnny, Joe's going to call you back next Wednesday at 7:15 with some good news."
Absolutely. I remember him doing that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
People would call to be on the show. "I'll call you back next Thursday."
That's right.
He was hilarious.
Did I get some questions here? I saw something flash up. Are they giving me...
There's another question.
Do I see them? Oh, there you go. Oh.
Can you read it, or you want us to read it?
Oh, yeah, I see it now. You mentioned Abbott and Costello. Do you think there is a comic team today that could match their split-second timing, delivery, and chemistry of who's on first?
That's very
It would be hard. There are some brother acts. I don't know if you've heard of the Sklar brothers, and there's the Stone and Stone. I worked with Stone and Stone. They're twins. All these twin acts can have that kind of
the chemistry, because
they're brothers. Even like in the Three Stooges, Moe, Curly, and Shemp were all brothers. And my wife even pointed this out when we were watching the Stooges. The way Curly and Moe pick things up and do things, because they're brothers. It's like in the blood, the timing and everything. And brothers do have that. And a great comedy team like Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello have that timing. But Laurel and Hardy, it kind of came naturally to them. They just fit. Abbott and Costello both had different partners originally, a multitude of different partners, but they both liked each other and they wound up working together. And then they really worked it to have that brother timing. But I don't know, like the business isn't the same where, Abbott and Costello, they'd be on the Kate Smith radio show. They'd be doing burlesque, vaudeville, nightclubs. They'd be opening for movies all at the same time. Performers don't work that much, stand-up comics. If they get one spot a night, that's good. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be very hard for a comedy team to, first off, nobody wants to split $25, to develop an act. And as a result, that's the hardest part. That's why I think it's economic why you don't see comedy teams. And there were comedy teams when I was small, like Burns and Schreiber.
Oh, yeah.
George Carlin and Jack Burns were a comedy team before Burns and Schreiber. Yeah. There were a few, but with the exception of the Smothers Brothers, because they were brothers, there weren't any I can think after that. Although, I think David Steinberg and Robert Klein were a team for a brief time.
Really? I didn't know.
Yeah, in the early Compass improv days, early on, before they were each stand-ups, I think they worked together. But there were some people, like if you watch the Christopher Guest movies with Fred Willard, all those, you see, of course, Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara, they're not a team, but they have that chemistry and they've worked together. So you do get that with this two people that work a lot together and have that chemistry. But I think everybody, I can't think of a team today. I think it's very Hope and Crosby. And what I mean is that like two individuals who have their own career that somehow work together, like Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, right? They're like kind of a team, but they're not a team, but they work well together, so they team them up, that type of thing.
Yeah, we had a question from Tom. What do you think of Martin and Lewis?
I like Martin and Lewis in the live Colgate TV shows, if you can find those on YouTube. All those, and there's also their Copa show. Jerry filmed one of their later Copa shows, and I like them. The movies are okay, but I don't think the movies are as good as Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello. They kind of shoehorned Dean Martin into this romantic lead, so he would sing a song, and it was like more like when the Marx Brothers had Alan Jones or Abbott still had Dick Foran, who basically was a guy singing to a girl, and all the kids ran off to get popcorn and soda and went to the bathroom, just sort of like a filler thing, and they did that to Dean Martin. There's very few Martin and Lewis films where Dean Martin is funny, right. And he's usually, I think he said he's often a shitheel in these pictures. You know what I mean? Can you say shitheel on this? I'm not sure.
Sure, you can.
Whatever. So he got tired of that. He really did. I like the Stooge because they get to do some of their nightclub act in that. Although he is also, not the nicest. Dean is not the nicest guy. There's one film called Three Ring Circus. If you ever see that, Dean is kind of mean to Jerry in that. So I don't think they had that relationship on film. There are some good films. Artists and Models is a very good film. I like the last one, Hollywood and Bust, is a funny film. But I think they were barely talking to each other when they made that one. But watch them work together. And Dean is very funny, by the way. But he was kind of shoehorned because he'd have to wait for Jerry to finish. But I thought Dean was very funny. And so they great. They were immensely popular. They were probably more popular than Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy. You know what I mean? In their time.
At that time, yeah.
Maybe because of how the medium was in their time.
Well, Bob, they were also setting up. I know Dean Martin. We asked Dina Martin too. I think Jimmy that
yes,
they were setting up Dean not only as a romantic guy, but they were setting him up as a James Bond with Matt Helm. So they had to get him out of that comedy thing and get him into that serious role.
Yeah, it doesn't lend itself to a comedy team. Do you know what I mean? But when you see them working live, live on tape or live on Kinescope on the Colgate, you see what the magic was.
Yeah.
See it. They were a nightclub act. That was their thing. Dean would be singing. Jerry would come out dressed as a busboy. He'd drop the dishes. Did you take a bath today? Why is one missing? They had all these little jokes, and Jerry would be upstaging Dean. That was the shtick. So, but Dean, I thought was on his own, was very funny. And most people, when I was a kid, most people didn't think of them as a team. You had to be a little older to remember that they were a team. And I think they all thought that Dean Martin would disappear when they split up. But I think he became very big on television with his, his own show. And eventually, of course, he did those other movies, and he was a good actor. So,
sure, yeah,
he didn't disappear. He made a name for himself. I mean, he had a name for himself, but you know what I mean. He made he found his own niche. Is it
Sure.
And Jerry, of course, went on to be more Jerry. But I think, in a way, Jerry lost something with Dean because it was all he kind of needed something else. So they were kind of right about that when they made those Martin Lewis movies, that you needed something else to compliment or to give you a break of flying, but I enjoy some of his, Jerry. I love The Bellboy. I love
it's a great movie.
Nutty Professor is his best movie, and I used to socialize with Jerry at the Friars Club.
Wow, so cool.
Talk about Stan Laurel. He loved Stan Laurel. Stan Laurel was his idol, and I'm a big Laurel and Hardy fan, so we would share things about Stan Laurel. And he was quite the character, Jerry Lewis. Yeah, I miss him a lot.
What about Don Rickles? Did you ever work with Don?
Never worked with Don. Met him once. He couldn't have been nicer to me. I think he said to me, Jeffrey Ross had introduced me. Or am I confusing it? That same night I met Joan Rivers. Well, whatever. I think it was Jerry Ross introduced me. He said, Bob's one of our comedians, but because Don probably didn't know who I was. And he says, "Oh, do you love it?" Oh no, this is Joan Rivers. But anyway, Joan Rivers said to me, "Do you love doing it?" He says, "Yeah, I do." He says, "Well, if you love it, you're always going to be great at it." So just because that's the secret. That's what Joan Rivers said. But what did Don Rickles say to me? He said something very, very much. He said, "Oh, he says, enjoy it all. I'm sure you're great." He was very nice. I didn't get to work with him. I worked with Henny Youngman, which is
did you? Nice, wow.
And Henny was towards the end, right. And Henny was in a wheelchair. He was being wheeled around, and it was very funny because he kind of opened up for me. We were supposed to open for him, me and another comedian or two, but he showed up. He wanted to go on and leave. He wanted to do his 15 minutes and go. So they kind of wheel him out, and they hand him the mic. And and his head gets up and he starts to do, "Take my wife, please." He does, the voice, the face, everything. And literally, let's say he was supposed to do 18 minutes. At the last joke, that was it. He was off. He was done, And I remember they wheeled him out, and I could see him waiting for the car or whatever outside. And I started doing my act. And I could see him talking to the booker, and calling and pointing. And then after the show, the booker came over to me and handed me this. I have it somewhere here, a little cardboard box with a measuring tape, but it was a joke tape. It was a prototype. They finally did sell some of these, the Henny Youngman joke tape or jokes, and you pull it out and instead of inches, it had all these jokes. And on both sides, So he had said I guess he had these with him, these prototypes. So he says to the booker, "Oh, I like him. He says, give this to the kid." I wasn't exactly a kid, but give this to the kid. I have that. It's very, very honored to have gotten that from him directly. So,
wow, very awesome. I wanted to ask you about this. You were a Macy's Santa Claus. Tell us about that experience. How do you get the gig? And tell us about some of your favorite memories of the gig.
I was in my improv days taking classes. I was in a class with I was in a class with another performer who mentioned that they got a gig doing Santa Claus, you know. And this guy was like a leading man type or whatever. And he says, "Oh, how can you be Santa Claus?" You know. He says, "Oh yeah, well, I auditioned and I interviewed." And he told me where to go and whatever. And I called up because they were looking for Santa Clauses. You know, they have at least 6 Santas working at one time. I'm spilling the beans here. So, because when they lead people through, it's like a maze, right. You know. An elf can take you to the left, to the right, and then there's always an identical Santa in every place. But you don't realize, you know, that there are more than one happening. So exactly. they lead you out. So they needed Santas. So I talked to them, and they have a Santa training period. It was about a week. And I met my future wife there. She was an elf, and I was Santa. And
wow, how cool is that?
So things happen. Although we had met before in the improv class, but we didn't really know each other. But we can hang out, you know, in a Santa Claus suit, and someone brings you water, you're very grateful. And you know, so she was an elf, and we got to know each other. But that's our relationship. So you can find a bride at Santa Land, but. That was very interesting. And the following year, I got, I guess, upgraded. I was a Santa straw boss. So now the term is straw boss. You ever hear that term? And I had to look that up. And what it was in the circus. You know, the comedians or clowns, the performers, they would all be laying on the straw, you know, resting between their act. And there was a guy, like a stage manager, would come in and say, "Get off the straw, you know, you got to get up there." So that was the title. Macy's still had that title, straw boss. So,
oh wow!
I guess that was because there was floor managers, there was managers to Macy's Santaland. The next level was straw, but they could have called me a stage manager, but it was actually on the check, straw boss. So I kind of was in charge of switching the Santas up, and you know, that kind of thing. And sometimes, you know, you wouldn't want a family in there while you were doing a switch because you had daytime Santas and nighttime Santas, and you know, it was a business. So it'd be a little awkward if, you know, if there's a family in there and so, Santa has to go feed the reindeer, and you take him out, and then they're waiting, and then you bring back a Santa who happens to be black, let's say. You know what I mean? What happened to Santa? You know. So, we had to make sure. Oh, he was very tall, very short, but yeah, it was very interesting. We had I was a Jewish Santa. We had gay Santas. We had all kinds of Santas.
It was a miracle on 34th Street.
It was a miracle. Santa Claus is an equal opportunity employer. Yeah. So I have to say, and this is not politically correct, and I know it's Gay Pride Month, but I recall that we had one Santa who was very Merry Christmas. He was very flamboyant, you know, and not that there's anything wrong with that, you know, whatever. Right. But I tried to gingerly say to him, "Could you be a little more giving a Santa Claus live readings, you know, because you know, I like the stereotypical. I'm going to get some hate letters. Don't cancel me. I'm a nice guy. Don't cancel me.
No, it's all comedy.
Yeah,
that's funny. I think we should come up with a movie called Santa School. I think that would be really funny.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Oh, but Macy's is very serious. I mean, and the beard is yak hair. It's very good hair, and it's all uniform. You know, they want you to be, you know, identical to the next guy. So, and I wore my first year. I wore a pillow because it was thin, and then. And next time eventually I didn't need a pillow, I don't think, you know. So I grew into the part. I'm that kind of an actor, you know. So I did this film called Tango Shalom, which you can get on video on demand, movie on demand. Tango Shalom, it's a very good movie. And we were at the first screening, and they said, "What was the most difficult part? You know, difficult thing about your part?" And he says, "Well, I had to put on 100 pounds to play this role." You know, I'm always there. You know, I'm ready to go. So,
Bob, I wanted to ask you about your time with Law and Order. But tell me a little bit about that. I know it's a great TV series, and a lot of our friends watch it.
Right. I did one episode with my real life wife. We played husband and wife on it.
Oh, wow.
I auditioned for the real guys, Dick Wolf, and who's the other guy? Dick Wolf and name's escaping, the original producers. Mm-hmm. In those days, you would go see them, not like today where everything's zooming and whatever. And they're laying on the couch and they're tired because they've seen 1,000 actors. And I did the episode is called Promises to Keep. It was maybe in the second or third season. It's from it aired February of '93, as I recall.
Yep.
And Lindsay Krause and Fritz Weaver's in the episode, and it's what they used to call the teaser. I'm jogging with my wife, and we're having this argument, and she says it's dangerous to be jogging this night. I said, it's so many people here. I don't know what I said, something like that. I know one line I said, I don't know about this jogging stuff. I think I'm going to get my stomach stapled. And she says, Sam, you need help, blah, 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 blah. And then I see something. It always happens. You see something, and I run away from her, and she's like, Sam, whatever. Of course, what do I see? It's a dead body.
Wow.
And then she sees it, and she freaks out. And then Jerry Orbach and Chris North come in, and we're being interviewed by another cop. And it's in the beginning of the show. So I played Sam on Law & Order. It was one of my first acting gigs, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So I enjoyed it. The director was Ed Sheeran, not the same Ed Sheeran that people think of today. He was married to Jane Alexander, and he was very nice. And here's a great little moment. When you're an actor, this is one of my first jobs. You're in you have your own dressing room, which is the honey wagon. You've seen them on the street, those portable trailers, and
yeah,
actor has their own little, and they're small room. They're like closets, really. You go in, you got a little sink, you got a little couch, you got a little TV, you got a little toilet. It's like this, but it has your name on it. They put your name on it. So when you do a shoot, commercial, a film, or whatever, and you're a day play. I do a lot of what's called day play. You work for one day. You play a character,
right?
Lines. And everyone loves you. They hug you. They kiss you. Can't give you enough food, whatever. But once you're wrapped, they want you out of there. Bang, bang, bang. Can we have your outfit? Bang, bang, bang. Have your contract? Bang, bang. Like it's like they want you out. So anyway, but I give them the outfit. Okay, thank you, Bob. Thank you. That's all business, because they want to. And I leave I come out of my dressing room, and my name is on the thing, and I see a PA, a production assistant, standing right by my door, and so I say, he says, thank you, Bob, thank you. I go, thank you, and I start walking, and I go, I'm going to turn around and just look one more time at my name on my dressing room door. And he's sliding my name out and putting in Ralph Buckley. Now, I'll never forget actor Ralph Buckley because he was coming in to do the next scene, So right. So the kid sees me looking, so he slides Bob Greenberg back in. And I understood, but he saw my face like, oh. So I waved to him, and I turned away so he could do his job and put Ralph Buckley in my dressing room. So that's how special my dressing room was.
Wow!
But before my ass left the doorway, Ralph Buckley was to take over. So, but I enjoyed the experience, and I still get checks.
There you go.
This tiny. The last one was $3 or something like that.
Well, in 2017, you did a very merry Toy Story with Billy Gardell and Melissa Joan Hart. Tell us about that.
That was a lot of fun. I worked one day on that. I have 2 scenes. I know I have some of the video on my website, but the film is very accessible because Christmas time, Lifetime shows it. You see it.
Yes.
But I play a banker named Mike, who she comes in and asks me for some money. I try to help her out. In the end, I can. I have a couple of scenes. And, movies, you can shoot these things. I have 2 scenes in the movie. We shot them all on the same day. I think I wore the same suit. I probably did, but I know I changed my shirt. I changed my tie, whatever. And you make it like it's different, but we did them back to back. And Melissa Joan Hart was great. And I know one scene I had to do on the phone talking to her. And she was, sometimes, the stars or the names of a project. You don't even see them. You're working with them, but you don't even see them. There's a lot of actors talk about they're talking to De Niro and he's not even there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Stuff another time. She sat off stage and she read all her lines to me in that second scene, which was really nice of her, I thought. So I had the right timing going back and forth. So, and we worked well together. I enjoyed working on that. It's nice to be in a Christmas movie. You know what I mean?
Sure, absolutely. Gets shown every year.
Yeah.
So, also, I know it's getting hot now. Are you a big fan of summertime?
Oh, well, the best thing about summertime is beautiful women walking around in tank tops and short shorts. The worst part is guys like me walking around in tank tops. I'm so fat, I'm beside myself. You know, when you're not fit, things fit not. It's true. Even as a kid, I remember one Halloween, I wanted to be a skeleton. Only skeletons don't come in husky. For me to go trick-or-treating, my grandmother had to sew my skeleton costume onto my white thermal underwear. So me and my friends, we go trick-or-treating, get to the first door, and the guy comes out to give us candy. Hey, it's Superman. Hey, it's Frankenstein. Hey, it's a fat boy in his underwear. Last Halloween, I ran out of candy. Kids came to the door, I had nothing for them. So I gave out takeout packs of sugar, which is candy in its purest form.
Right.
When those ran out, I gave out takeout packs of salt, pepper, soy sauce, duck sauce, hot mustard. I cleaned out that little shelf.
That's great.
And did you know that 8 creamers make a glass of milk? Did you know that? My father taught me that.
Well, Bob, we gotta go in a couple minutes, but
sure.
Jimmy, is there anything else we want to ask him before we let him go?
I just want to thank him so much for taking the time out to hang out with us tonight. It was such an honor to have you on the show, Bob.
Oh, thank you. And please find me on Facebook, you know, Bob Greenberg, actor, comic. You'll see me with Jim Carrey. I post what I'm doing. I'm going to be at the comic strip in the middle of July. I'm in a play about Jimmy Breslin in October.
Nice.
I'm a member of the Lambs. If you want to come to the Lambs, guys, just tell me. I'll bring you to the Lambs. It's a lot.
Oh, great. Awesome.
It's sort of like it was the original Friars. There was the Lambs, there was the Players, there was the Friars, and the Lambs is where I'm at these days.
Okay,
so.
cool.
And tell your fans how they can keep in touch with you.
Yeah, I think basically Facebook is probably the best thing. Look for Bob Greenberg, actor, comic, and you'll see a picture of me from Saturday Night Live with Jim Carrey, and I'll friend you, or you can follow me. I think I'm also on Instagram. Yeah, I think so. So look for me there under the same auspices, Bob Greenberg, actor, comic. And only one Bob Greenberg, Bob with one O, and Greenberg with an E. 3 E's. E and then an E. So be happy to have you stalk me or follow me or whatever.
Bob, we're definitely going to have you back, but I want to ask you if you could do just a sweeper for Jimmy's show and, of course, the radio station. Just say who you are and whatever character you want to use, it's fine. Just say you're listening to the Jimmy Deal Show on Hamilton Radio. Sure. And whenever you're ready, you can say it.
All right. This is Alfred Hitchcock, and I'm listening to the Jimmy Deal Show on Hamilton Radio. Good evening.
Wow. But I want people to know you're Bob Greenberg, too.
Oh, you want Bob Greenberg? Okay, hold on. All right. Hi, I'm Bob Greenberg, and I'm listening to Jimmy Deal Celebrity Spotlight. It's a great show. Lots of fun. No snacks, though.
That's great.
Thanks, Bob.
Can you do Jackie Gleason for us?
Oh,
a line for us? Oh, that'd be great.
Right. No, Jimmy Deal Celebrity Spotlight. No, he is the greatest. Give a listen. No, he's one of the good ones.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank
awesome.
you so much. You're awesome.
We're glad to have you anytime. We'll get you again sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Have a great night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care, Bob.
Oh, Jimmy, who do we got coming up?
Coming up on Wednesday, we have Michael Diamore, Capri's, right? Yeah, he's going to be on with us. So that's going to be a great show. It's at 7 p.m. on Wednesday night. And next Monday, it is the Magic Garden Girls. It's Carol and Paula will be here, which would be pretty fun to hear those girls sing again and talk again all about that great show that they had. And we also have artist Stacy Lattisaw is going to be here in July. Jimmy Fortune of the Statler Brothers will be here. Elvis's girlfriend Diane Goodman will be here in August, and so many more people too on the way. We'll keep you all informed about that in the upcoming shows.
Yeah, and I got George Galfo coming up from the other bands, and of course so many other people as well too, Jimmy. So thanks a lot. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for Bob Greenberg, and wishing everybody a great day, great night. We'll talk to you soon.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Good night, everybody.